Here we are, back with the Acer 900 286 system. If you remember, took a look at this, the hard drive was bad, and just kind of shelved it and forgot about it, and it's probably been about a year. But I've finally starting to get to some of my vintage computers because I figure if I don't make the time to deal with them come, it'll never come. Certainly not at the current rate things are going. So here's the hard drive. It's an early 3.5-inch drive, 40 megabytes. It is IDE. I'm not sure if it's got a stepper motor or voice coil. I'm guessing that it's probably got a voice coil, however, because I don't see any really obvious stepper motor, other than maybe that right there, but usually you'd see something. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work. I don't know exactly what's wrong with it, but I gone ahead and I replaced it now with a bigger drive. This is actually a Maxtor drive, one of these 7120 ATs, and if you know what that is, you'll know that this is one of the Maxtor drives that's got the unique seek test noise. So I've gone ahead and got that replaced. I hope I got the cable installed correctly. The only thing I'm going to do, or at least try and do, is upgrade the video card that's in here. I believe that this is a Western Digital, or no, that's actually Paradise, so it's a later card. Although it does say copyright 1980 something. I can't actually read that. My hair is in the way. Actually, that looks like, yeah, 1988. Copyright date on that. I'm going to try and replace it with a 16-bit card, which I think is a little bit newer. Probably not that much better. In fact, it's probably not better at all. But I want that 8-bit card for another project. And I figure since this thing's got 16-bit slots, we might as well give that a try. Now, there's no guarantee this will work. I have certainly had systems in the past where they required the card to be in an 8-bit slot. And I don't know if I can put a 16-bit card in there. You can electrically, but I think that that chip right there is in the way. But we'll give it a try anyway and just see what happens. You know, the worst thing it can do is not work. Okay, got the video card replaced. Haven't totally screwed it in yet. I'll do that after I see it work. This is the first run up with a keyboard. Now, I've got some concerns about whether or not this key lock is on or not. You can see that it looks like it might be on. But no sense in waiting. Power it up here. Yep, that is a video issue, so it does not like that video card in the slot that it's in. So we'll have to adjust that. That floppy drive sounds like crap. I think it scared me the last time too. Okay, this time I got it in the 8-bit slot. Let's see what it does now. Oh, there's video. At least it did come up for a second. I don't see anything on the screen. Huh. Is it doing anything? Are we about to have a tantalum cap blow up? Take 3-bit to the original card here. Yeah, that's better. 2 gigs memory. CMOS failure. There's the floppy drive. Sounds like crap. Press F1 key to continue. Control-Alt-Escape for setup. Control-Alt-Escape. And there we are in setup. So we'll have to go ahead and we'll have to set this. Now this is a very primitive setup utility. It looks like I'm going to have to figure out what the drive type on this is. I think it's probably possible if the information is available. But I guess we'll have to find out on that. So let me do a little bit of looking. Okay, unfortunately I'm at another stopping point with this machine. And it's going to need a little bit more work, and I'm going to need to amass some parts before I can do that work. I have the pieces that I need, I just need to actually find them. Number one, you can see right now we're at this disk boot failure. Predictably, now I didn't expect any different, but predictably that floppy drive is no good. Try to no good bootable disk, it won't boot from it. So it seems like the spindle motor comes on, but the head stack does not actually move. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it needs to just be cleaned. Maybe it needs some kind of a real mechanical overhaul. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, in its current state, it does not work. Secondly, the hard drive. You saw that older BIOS. I cannot enter anything in other than a drive type number. 2 digits, maximum. So anything between 1 and 47, or 60 to 83. Now, I'm not sure where in the upper range the user-defined settings happen to be. I suppose I could probably find it, because I know that there probably are some user-defined settings up there. I'll be quiet. But I got this set to type 47, and it will post, because type 47 is user-defined usually, but it doesn't actually let me set any of the parameters. And I can't find any information on the Maxstar 7120AT that would give me a drive type number anywhere online. I just have the cylinders, heads, and sectors. I can put in a number here. Oops. I can keep putting in numbers. I don't think it's going to make a difference. It'll probably just fail. So I can just put in type 47, which is what I normally do. We hit end. And that's it. It'll sit there. And it'll work. Probably missed it, but the drive light does come on there. At least during post. I don't know if it's trying to read the disk otherwise. But it sits here for quite a while. I get a beep. And I didn't see the drive light come on, so I don't think it's actually trying to read it. There's nothing on it anyway. As far as I know, it's been wiped. But I can't test anything until I get this floppy drive replaced. And I think I'm going to replace it with a 3.5-inch floppy, because I don't really have a whole lot of software that I've got that's on 5.25-inch floppy. Certainly not anything I'm going to want to run on something as new as a 286. So, I don't know. At least for now, we're at a stopping point. So I'll have to pick this up later. I mean, you won't have to wait at all thanks to the magic of video editing, but, yeah, that's a little annoying. Also interesting, if we go ahead and we take a look down here, it looks like we might have some tantalum capacitors that are either on the verge of shorting out, or have shorted out and have just split non-violently. Although, looking at them a little bit closer, it looks like I'm wrong. I thought they had split, but they're not. That's just a marking on the side. So, it looks like they might be okay. I probably should go through this thing and replace them all anyway. But I think I'm going to wait until one of them does blow up. Which is kind of funny. Normally you don't do that. You do it preemptively. But I don't really feel like doing tantalum capacitor replacement on this board. It looks like it'd be kind of a pain to get out of there. So, you know what they say about that getting things done spirit. Yes, I've changed camcorders, basically out of necessity. But it's been, let's see, the first part of this video was recorded back in the middle of April. It's now the middle of November. So, like I said, nothing quite like that getting things done spirit. But here it is. We're back with the Acer 286, the 900. And we're about to replace the floppy drive. So, if you remember, the floppy drive is no good on this. I'm sure it can be fixed, like it's probably just a lubrication issue, but I'm going to replace it with a 3.5-inch drive anyway, because most of my software is on 3.5-inch floppies, so. Alright, so there it is. with a 3.5-inch floppy drive installed. But we've run into another stopping point that I'm sure that many of you have seen coming from a mile away, but ever the wishful thinker I sure didn't. See, apparently this system either is built to the budget point to exclude these, or simply just predates them. But the only connectors that it's got for power, if I can actually even get them up here, are the 4-pin Molex types. And the only connectors that it's got for data for the floppy drive are the edge card style type. Neither of those are going to work for a 3.5-inch floppy. So I guess I'm going to have to find some of those. I know I have an adapter for the 3.5-inch drive for the data, but I have no idea where it is, and I have no idea if I've got an adapter for the power. I'm hoping I do, because otherwise that's going to be a real pain in the butt. But, once again, we're stalled on this for a little while. I don't know, I was really kind of hoping to get this done today, but I guess that's not going to happen. One thing I did do, though, put the screw back in that, so now all the slot covers have got screws. So that's nice. And we're back, as promised. And I've got my proper upgrade installed using the existing connection, and I've just put a little adapter on that. That's the way that it's supposed to be done. And the adapter here. I didn't have to graft any wiring into anything or do any real work. Now, this thing's been sitting for long enough that it might explode when I turn it on. I'm hoping it does not do that. But let's see what happens, because we're not out of the woods yet. I have no picture here. Probably because that's turned off. Alright, Control-Alt-Escape for setup. Control-Alt-Escape. So here we go. We'll update item 1. Not that it makes much of a difference, but I might as well set it to today's date, November 15th. Okay, floppy drive A is... I hope that actually supports a 1.44 mag. I'm pretty sure it's a 1.44 mag. So that's what we'll call it. Now, fixed disk type 1. We have to actually give it a type number. And I don't really know what I'm doing. But this is where I was stalled at. So I went through a list of AT drive types, and I found a bunch of them that could work. So we'll try 9 first. And then we'll see what happens. I think everything else is okay. Color graphics 80 column. We'll just leave it at C. It's basically CGA. 80 column CGA. We'll leave it at that. And we'll see what happens. Equipment configuration error. Run setup. Well, my light is on solid on that floppy drive, so I think maybe that's backwards. Okay, so that's not on backwards now. Let's see what happens. That's better. We still have equipment configuration error. So we'll have to hit Control-Alt-Escape. Go back into setup. Let's try changing our video adapter first. We'll see what we end up with. Okay. Now let me see if I can find my DOS boot disk. Okay, it just seems like it's stall point after stall point after stall point with this piece of crap. So, let's see here. I can't find my DOS disks. They were in here, no idea where they went. Somebody's obviously taken them. Why they would take a copy of MS-DOS 6.22, I don't know, but somebody's obviously done it. I have this, which is literally just a command interpreter. This floppy drive doesn't work. It just makes a bunch of grinding noises and gives me an error message. This one gets a little bit further. And I'm going to probably have to go back into setup again. Huh. I don't even hear the floppy drive. Because yeah, I was experimenting. I was able to get that 5 1/4 inch drive to actually work, but guess what? The 5 1/4 inch boot disc that was out here is also missing. Go figure. You know what? I cleaned things up in here, made things look nice. I'm starting to think it was a giant waste of my time. So we'll change that back to 1.44 meg. We'll end. And I know that this drive is a 1.44. Is it even working at all? Oh, great. Now it's not even doing anything. Okay, well, I'm getting power at least. So I've determined that. That's all I get out of this drive. And if I can actually find where I put that boot disk now, it's still in this other drive, which decided it wanted to stop working for no reason. I put that in. There's a disk there. I hit a key on this keyboard. Oh, you have to hit the enter key, I guess. That's all it does. Okay? So, let's try this other drive again. Got it on that cardboard, so that way it doesn't short out on the case. No, it's doing nothing now, so apparently that floppy drive died. So, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So, we're at another stopping point with this, because I clearly can't do anything with it. And I'm really kind of getting tired of it, so I'm going to set it aside and I'll go work on something else and we'll come back to it eventually, I guess. Alright, we're back with the Acer 286 again. And let's see what happens this time. I've got another floppy drive installed. Let's see if this works. Then we developed a bad bearing on that hard drive. Hey, that sounds promising. Alright, Control-Alt-Escape to get into setup here. And let's see. The only thing I'm going to touch, actually no, I'm going to touch the fixed disk as well while I'm at it. We'll set the date and time. So the month, it's now December. Today is the 28th of December. I don't know if this is Y2K compliant or not. I don't think so. We can try it. Well, it thinks it's going to do that, but I don't know if that's going to actually stick across a reboot. It's 7:28 right now. So, 19, 20, we'll set it to 29. Second doesn't really matter. Floppy drive, that is a 1.44 meg, certainly. No floppy disk B. Fixed disk type 1. I was doing some research, I think this is a type 36. 7. Actually, I'm going to leave it, and we'll see what it does. I'm sure it'll complain about the configuration. Yeah. Because that's not a CGA card. Okay, hanging around here for a little bit. Maybe it's not type 36 after all. Did it lock up? Or can we get into setup? Okay, we can still get into setup. We'll change that to special. And we'll see if it's any happier. Like I said, that may not be a Type 36 after all. Well, our message disappeared. Floppy seek. Man, it's still not happy about that hard drive. So it shouldn't be hanging around there. Okay. So we'll take the hard drive out of the equation. And we'll see if we can figure out what it actually is. I know I probably talked about it earlier in the video, but I forget what I said already. Okay, we got a floppy seek. There's the beep that we want. Disk boot failure. So let's see if I can find something. Let's try this disk first. That label is going to come off of that disk, and it's probably going to come off in the drive and make me irritated. Well, that doesn't sound very good. So I don't know. We might still have a bad floppy drive. I'm getting tired of bad floppy drives. Because I don't know what health condition this drive is actually in. Okay. Holy crap, folks. It's working. Unbelievable. Sort of. I don't think it should be making that kind of noise. Yeah, it's trying to run setup. That's not really gonna work, but we'll see if it at least gets somewhere. Yeah. That's obvious. Setup does not have a hard disk. So you could install to a floppy, but I'm not gonna do that. Alright. See if we get a prompt, and we get a prompt. So that's good. Really? Oh, it's probably not on this disk. Or it's, compressed. Yeah, it's compressed, so that's not gonna work. I have to install it to something. So, hey, at least we got somewhere. Means I gotta pull that stupid adapter out again and replace that floppy drive. Oop. Yeah, I think this drive does have some problems. I was about to tell you that it was working great, but, yeah, it's not really working. That's a brand new disk, so I refuse to believe that it's bad. So I'll have to change the floppy drive anyway, but yeah, it just goes to show you the kind of fun that you can have with these old computers. That wasn't working at all 2 minutes ago, because you just watched it not work at all 2 minutes ago. And yet, now we're getting further than we were before. Okay. I don't know, dude. Hopefully it starts. There we go. That's a little better. So I'm trying with disk type 19, which was the closest thing I could find that matched the specifications on this. So we're about half the number of heads that we should have, so we're probably only going to get about 60 megabytes out of this drive. But if that works, I'm fine with that. So let it configure the unallocated space. And we'll see what happens. Boy, it takes it a long time to boot from that floppy. DOS 622 is probably not the version I really want to run on this. That might be a little bit new for a 286, but it is a fairly well-equipped 286. I could actually equip it a little bit further, because it looks like it's got 2 megabytes of memory on the motherboard. I could probably upgrade that further. Because bank 0's soldered, but there's a bank 1 as well, and I don't know if that's for cache chips or if that's system memory. I seem to, from what I can tell, that's system memory. Okay, formatting drive C. Disk light's on, and it is actually working. Might even be able to hear it. I can't believe we're finally getting somewhere with this stupid computer. Alright, now I'm going to actually set this. What is today? 28. Yeah, I can't really... It's not Y2K compliant. The time... Let's see, how much time have I spent screwing with this? It's now 7:56. I'll change the setting in the BIOS later. Keyboard layout US, yep, that's all good. Those settings are correct. Install the CDOS. Now it's going to install. Hopefully none of my disks are bad. Look at this. Advanced memory management feature. If you have a 386 or higher, optimized by running MemMaker. Doesn't even apply to this system. This is only a 286. Taking a look at this motherboard here. I believe this was also used in the later Acer 910, or at least it seems to suggest that it was used in the later Acer 910. I'm not sure what all the differences are. I think maybe the 910 was a little bit smaller. Had fewer drive bays. This is a 900, right? I'm not completely mistaken. I'm pretty sure this is a 900. Yeah. So, I'll have to take a look at this next. Gotta get that running, get that off of the floor in here. Use that for writing my floppy disk images. But one diatribe at a time. I'm just amazed that this thing actually works. The other thing I did is I have affixed the disk type number to the case, because I can just about guarantee you that I will forget that type number the next time I go to set this system up. And I'm not going to remember to watch this video, so the other thing I will need to do, and that would even have prevented my even needing to write that on here in the first place, I do need to replace the battery. So I will need to figure out where the connection point is on this board for the battery, and then come up with a suitable replacement. Probably one of those 4 AA holders, or sorry, the 3 AA holders, not the 4. And I know I've got a couple of those 3 AA holders. I know I've got a couple of 2 AA holders, but 2 AA's isn't going to work. You need 3, because you need the 4.5 volts. Although these usually had 3.6 volt lithiums, 4.5 volt alkaline is about equivalent. Have a disk problem? Fix it with ScanDisk. Well, maybe it's worked for somebody. But the kinds of disk problems that I've had on systems are usually the kinds of things that ScanDisk isn't going to help with. Alright, remove disks from all floppy disk drives. And press enter. To restart your computer with MS-DOS, press enter. Alright, let's see if it boots. Yeah, here we go. Listen to that hard drive if you can actually hear it over the bearing noise. Look at that. Fresh copy. Okay. Let's see. 62 bytes total disk space. Yeah, it's about 60, well, I'll call it 62 megabytes. Because I think the hard drive unformatted is 124. But I will say about 60 megs. So we're only using half the drive, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, look at how much free space we have with the DOS install. I will be installing some more stuff on top of this, probably Windows 3.0 and maybe After Dark, because I'd like to use this as a prop in the new low-end radio studio, sort of like a graphics machine or something. I think that would be kind of neat. Okay. I believe that's the program. Yep, there it is. Remember that this is a 286. So you can see there, it actually even sees it as an Acer. ECG BIOS. 286 with no math coprocessor. I'm kind of surprised. I thought this had the coprocessor in it, but I guess it doesn't. That's okay. It's not like I'm going to be doing any floating point work with this anyway. I wonder why it's got XMS on it. I'm surprised to see that XMS is on. There's the memory map, which used to matter a lot more than it does now. Sees it as Paradise Video, and that's probably actually true. I think this is a Paradise card. I can't tell, it's too dark in here. But I think that's a Paradise card. I always thought that Paradise came after Western Digital sold off their video chipset manufacturing. There's no network. Might be kind of interesting to install that and run a DOS level networking stack. Alright, one more thing before I go, because somebody's going to ask. Turbo functionality. You'll notice the system doesn't have a turbo switch. The only thing on the front is the key lock and a reset button. Like a lot of systems, this one uses keyboard combinations to do this, but it's a little bit different. Where most systems use some combination of Control-Alt or Control-Shift and number pad plus and minus, or even the number pad star for some systems with an NEC V20. I know that my new XT is like that. This uses Control-Alt number pad plus for everything. So if I come over here, it's running in the fast mode right now. This indicator, the light, indicates 12 megahertz. If I hit Control-Alt and number pad plus, you'll see that light goes out, which means you're running in the slow mode. I don't remember what that means in a system like this, if it was 6 megahertz or closer to 4.77 or some other weird potential value. The original PC ran at 4.77, which is where that 4.77 comes from. Reason for turbo, for some of the viewers who watch my videos who might not know, is for software that is tied to the system clock for various timing functionality. A lot of games were like this, where if you took a game that was designed for, let's say for example, a IBM PC that ran at 4.77 megahertz, and you tried to run it on a Turbo XT that was running at 8 or 10 megahertz, the game would be unplayable because everything would just move around so fast, and that's what the turbo was for. So you could put it into a slower mode to run software that was speed sensitive. When I put it back into turbo, again, Control-Alt, number pad plus, and you can see our turbo light is on once again. I don't think I got a program on this machine that will allow me to demonstrate the turbo speed. There's some benchmarking programs. I could probably find one and put this on this at some point later on, probably when I go to install Windows, because invariably I'll make a video about installing Windows on this. I'd like to add a serial mouse to it as well before putting Windows. Maybe some other things, but that's pretty much it for this as it stands now. Thank you for watching, and if you have any comments, feel free to leave them below.